surveillance tape where it appears Jabari is pursuing Majors after a physical back and forth in the SUV over a text he received from another woman named Cleopatra. And then the big moment where Majors is accused of pushing her back into the SUV. The next day is when Jabari is found on the floor of the walk-in closet. Majors called cops when he couldn't get inside.
I banged on the door. I've been at the apartment for about 40 minutes now. I couldn't get in. I finally went downstairs and asked the doorman to help us. They let me in via the handyman.
In the aftermath, cops are seen talking to Majors. They look around the apartment, from the bedroom with the unmade bed to the sprawling living room area. Majors is seen on the phone. Then Jabari surfaces dressed in a sweatshirt and jeans. She leaves the apartment and is seen making calls on the elevator.
Hello, family, and welcome back to another episode of Journey to Harmony. I'm your host, Richard Harmon. Today, I want to come and talk to you about the actor Jonathan Majors just being convicted of assault. We all have been following this story from Jonathan Majors, the actor from Creed, who really blew up on things with the Creed 3 episode. And he and his girlfriend have been going through a court battle that alleged that Jonathan assaulted her in I believe it was March of this year. So Jonathan right now is facing some serious issues. He has been convicted. Now he's just kind of on the wait and see happens what is going to be the next case. Again, it says Marvel star Jonathan Majors was found guilty of one account of assault and one account of harassment, but acquitted of two other counts of assault and aggravated harassment and split verdict on Monday. The verdict came after 5 hours of deliberation over portions of 3 days. Majors 34 was charged with assault and aggravated harassment, both misdemeanors stemming from a March altercation with his then girlfriend, Grace Jabari in NYC. The mixed verdict signals the jury believed Majors recklessly assaulted his ex-girlfriend but did not intentionally do so. The mixed verdict also suggests the jury did not believe Majors intentionally committed aggravated assault inside the SUV, but did believe he harassed her outside the vehicle by picking her off the ground and throwing her back inside of the car. So this is a really interesting story that's happening right now. Jonathan Majors, he was on his way. It kind of seemed like him and Michael B. Jordan were great in the movie. They sold a lot of tickets to those particular videos. He ended up getting a star role in the Marvel cinematic universe, and kind of seemed like he was on his way to taking off. Unfortunately, his career has been derailed a bit. He's lost a lot of endorsements, and a lot of people have distanced themselves as well. We'll go ahead and watch a little video of this. I'll come back and talk about it just after that.
Majors is upset that she'd gone out partying.
Do you really know, baby? Do you really?
Yes.
Then how dare you come home drunk and disturb the peace of our house when we have a plan?
He then tells Jabari that she needs to emulate two iconic women.
Coretta Scott King. You know who that is? That's Martin Luther King's wife. Michelle Obama. Barack Obama's wife.
I know, I'm not. I shouldn't have gone out. I'm sorry.
The ex-girlfriend secretly recorded the argument in 2022.
I'm a great man. A great man. I am doing great things, not just for me, but for my culture and for the world. That is actually the position I'm in.
The defense rested its case without calling Jonathan Majors to the stand, but the actor was seen wiping away tears as his attorney made closing arguments to the jury in which she accused the ex-girlfriend of telling little white lies and also big lies.
All right, family, so there it is. We heard some of that right there. I think it's kind of ironic or strange, I guess, that he asked her to emulate Coretta Scott King and Michelle Obama, who are both black. But just a little bit more here is I think, as I watch this, the first thing that I think of and the importance of what I see is who is in your circle. I heard someone say this before, is that athletes hanging out with musicians is kind of a strange case, because the lifestyle of an athlete is discipline. It's, in bed by a certain hour. It's all of these things that are important, and lifestyle of a particular celebrity, singer, artist, whatever, is going to be one where you're out at nightclubs, you're out at the parties, different things like that. And what I'm seeing here is that, the first thing is that she comes in and she records the message. Red flag number one. She comes from there. She comes home drunk and everything else like that. What I see here for the most part is that there were a misalignment of priorities. So the focus that this young lady might have had and the focus that Jonathan Majors may have had are not great. He's now been convicted by a group of his peers, and now he's faced to see the consequences of what's exactly going to happen. But overall, I think this is a lesson more for us who are watching. If you're out there, you're in IT, you're a lawyer, you're a doctor or something like that. The company you keep is going to determine how far it is you go in your career and what your life looks like. A lot of times we see, we talk about people and celebrities who end up dating the same people, but a lot of times it's because they understand what it's like to be in those environments. And for you right now who are searching for your opportunity, you're looking to become someone more than what is it you're doing right now. Who it is you surround yourself will either propel you or they will take you back from where it is that you want to be. And from right here, it's more or less from what it is I'm seeing more than anything else, where they just weren't aligned. And this is very unfortunate. So now he has to face the consequences of those particular actions. He did push her into the car. He picked her up and moved her around, things like that. He's a much bigger person. You are seen as a black person, you are seen as a threat for the most part. I'm 6'2", 280 plus pounds. So when I walk by, I see it in people's faces, the fear that they have a lot of times. And he had the world at his fingertips. I'm not here to scream racism or anything of that nature. He made a mistake. He got himself in a bad relationship. I'm talking just like I would talk to a nephew or a friend or something like that. You can't put yourself in situations that are not profitable for you. And the first time she recorded him, that after that you come home drunk a few times, you should have been able to cut it off at that point. But what happens now with your career now that it becomes what is it that you were able to see? Hopefully you've fallen from the Hollywood limelight. Maybe you figure out something in a different studio somewhere else, maybe at a different place. But this is a huge fall off for you as an individual. And for those of us who are watching, those of us who have aspirations for other things in life, this is definitely going to be an interesting one. So Jonathan Majors, after he did split with the young lady, he ended up getting with Megan Good. We saw photos of him and her together, and she's kind of been walking with him throughout this time period. But this is a huge issue right now because he was on his way at that point. You go from Creed, you do Marvel, you're on your way up, and then you end up falling off because of the connections that you have. So I think nothing else that anyone get from this. I think making sure you surround yourself with the right people, being able to have your circle insulated, especially for who it is that you date. My dad used to tell me all the time, he says the most important decision you'll make is first who it is you will serve, whether it's not you'll serve Jesus Christ. And then the second decision, again, is who it is you're going to marry.
Jury in the Jonathan Majors domestic violence trial has found him guilty of 1 count of assault and 1 count of harassment, but acquitted him of another count of assaulting his former girlfriend. This comes after jurors spent 4 or 5 hours deliberating over portions of several days. And this is a case that has gotten a lot of attention. Jonathan Majors, a major rising star, and he met a crisis in this, and the jury has now returned with its verdict.
As well. So I guess let's first of all talk about the charges here. Brian, your first reaction.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of scratching my head just because I'm looking at the different charges, and let me break it down and explain. There are 2 different assaults here. One is intentional assault and one is reckless assault. Based on the number order that they're telling us, my guess, and please someone correct me if I'm wrong, is they're acquitting him of intentional assault, but finding him guilty of reckless assault, meaning that he just did something he should have known better, and it caused the injury of Grace Jabbari. Then he's found not guilty of aggravated assault, which is to alarm, annoy, harass, or threaten someone and subject them to physical violence. But he's not guilty of that, but he is guilty of alarming and annoying Grace Jabbari. To me, this sounds like we call it a King Solomon decision. They literally just split the baby and said half and half, but some of the convictions and some of the acquittals don't really make sense when you put them all together. Hindsight's always 20/20, so you look at it now and you're like, Maybe it hurt him. I think the difficulty in him testifying was that the evidence that came in was so strong that, for lack of a better term, this was a toxic relationship. This was a man who believed he was, as his own words, a great man, and that he needed a great woman similar to like that of Michelle Obama or Coretta Scott King, and through the prosecution's eyes or their lens was manipulating Grace Jabbari to be someone else through verbal and emotional abuse, and that this crescendo of verbal and emotional abuse led to the physical abuse that is this case. And if Jonathan Majors took the stand, he would have had to answer for each and every one of those instances of verbal and emotional abuse. And I think that would have been very damning for him, not just in a criminal setting, but also in a PR setting, because he's got to have a life after this. So I think strategically it makes sense for him not to testify. But I think on another sense, him testifying to what happened in that vehicle, saying, I was just trying to get my phone back. This was not a form of manipulation. This wasn't a form of abuse. This was someone took my property and I tried to take it back with as little force or little harm as possible, and she wasn't injured when I left. I think that could have been helpful as well.
Who it is you're going to spend your time with, who are you going to share your bed with. We see a lot of people right now are falling off, unfortunately, just due to this particular issue. And we'll see how this works out in the future. What are your thoughts on this? Please comment below. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining. Have a good day.